Hi, my name is Tamara, and you are watching Things Even a Monkey Should Know. Hello, hello, hello! Thank you so much for joining me again today. As you know, if you've watched some of my other videos, I'm not a professional at anything except artist, but I have figured out there are a number of things around the house and out in the yard and on my cars that I can do myself, and usually save myself time, money, and aggravation, so I hope that you have saved at least one of those things now too. Today, we are going to be finishing out some bare electrical wires that have just been hanging out and doing nothing for several years, so they need to earn their keep. All right, things you're going to need today. Well, obviously you're going to need those bare wires that have been sitting around doing nothing. It would be really helpful if you knew exactly where they went or what they went with, so that you know what kind of voltage you're looking at, how many things are piled up on the circuit that you are working on. And also, obviously, we're going to turn that circuit breaker off in a minute. I happen to know that mine is connected to the plugs along one side of this room, the outlets, I guess. So it only has three other outlets on the same circuit, which is great, so that'll work. You're gonna need a handy little voltage detector. If you have not ever purchased one of these, now is the time. Yesterday was the time. These things can literally save your life because they let you know if a wire is live or not. You are going to need whatever it is that you are going to turn your wires into. In this case, I am turning them into an outlet so that I can plug in some lights. I have an outdoor cover for this outlet. Now, you may ask, why am I not using a GFCI outlet? Well, because this is up under the roof, and honestly, I don't want to have to drag out a ladder and climb up it every time that thing decides to pop and turn off the circuit. So, this is also an acceptable solution. It's quite waterproof. I have these in other places. You're probably going to need a screwdriver. You're probably going to need some little wire cutters. I'm also, just for good measure, going to have some needle nose pliers and some wire strippers. You're also probably going to need a ladder, depending on where it is that you're working. Two other things you're going to need today is a humble roll of electrical tape and some scissors. Well, first thing we're going to do, obviously, is turn off the breaker. Even though this particular set of wires has a switch on it, I still like to have the breaker turned off, just to be sure. Yes, this is a different breaker box than you have seen in previous videos in this house, because, lovely thing, this house has multiple breaker boxes, I guess because it's so old. Anyway, here we go. We want number 3. We're off. So as you can see, I've pulled these wires out of here a little bit, and just because I like to double check that I am not going to get fried when I'm working on these wires, I'm using my voltage detector, and I am turning it on by holding down the button and then holding it up to our wires, and if they were on, this thing would beep and let me know that we have a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and use my wire strippers, and I'm going to strip off some of this coating or this insulation so that we can get this plug wired up. And I know a lot of you have done this before, but some of you have not, so even though this is not terribly interesting, I'm still going to show this in real time because I think it's important to know how to wire a plug or a power outlet. So wire strippers are great because they just grab and strip off the exterior coating on these wires so they don't actually cut the wires. So we have two sides to this outlet. One side has gold screws and one side has silver screws. So your hot wire, which is your black wire, is going to connect to the gold side, and that's what brings in the electricity. The neutral wire, which is the white wire, goes on the silver side. The bare wire goes around this little green screw right down here. Now, a good way for me to always remember that the hot wire goes with the gold screw is that gold is the color of sun, which is the color of energy and the color of fire and everything. And so to me, that implies electricity and heat. So just a little memory trick to help you. Since I am going to be using the side screws to screw these to connect these wires, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just get each wire a bit of a curve so that it will easily attach to those screws. And then we're going to connect, even though the power's off, I still really like to connect the neutral wire first. Then we're going to go ahead and hook in the ground wire. Now, this wire is pretty stiff, and if you have heavy-duty copper wire, it's going to be a little bit hard to deal with, hence the needle nose pliers. So we're going to screw that one in snugly, and then we're going to go ahead and screw in the hot wire. Usually the last one is the most difficult. Since I got it on there, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze it so that it has a little bit sharper of a curve. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and screw that on fairly snugly. We are then going to take our electrical tape, and we're just going to go ahead and wrap it around the outside of our connections a few times, maybe like 2, that's more like a couple, just to make sure that things are snug and secure, and that if you accidentally touch them for some reason, they are just not gonna immediately shock your pants off. I've started really liking to do this whenever I have been changing out outlets. It just seems safer. And I know you can tear electrical tape to finish it off, but I don't like that raggedy end it makes, so that's why we needed the scissors. So now we have a snug as a bug in a rug little outlet. I'm going to go ahead and coil that up in here, and then I am going to screw this in, I hope. Oh goodness. Now that we have this screwed in, I just want you to see what happens when the circuit is live and your voltage detector tells you that there's voltage. You see that? That means that you get shocked if you touch stuff in there right now. All right, so we have our outlet cover ready to go. Now it uses the same screws as what you would normally use to just screw the outlet to the box. So we're gonna go ahead, like everything connects all with the same screws. Does that make sense? Can you see it? Just want to show y'all up a little closer. The goal of this was to get this padding or this seal back here tight to this box, but not so tight that it squishes out really hard. So everything is secure and firm and waterproof. Close to the moment of truth, let's flip the breaker back on. I didn't hear any explosions, that's a good sign. Pretty easy install, right? If you need to change out a power outlet, it's going to be pretty much the exact same thing. Turn off the breaker and take out the old outlet, put in a new outlet. If you are doing what I'm doing and have a wad of wires that's been sitting there not doing anything, just be sure that you know what breaker it's on, obviously, duh, so you can turn it off. But also know what else is on that line to make sure that you don't overload that breaker. Now in this case, I don't have any lights on this porch, so I'm going to be installing lights, and they're the LED lights and they hardly take any electricity, and along with the fact that this is on a line that only has 3 outlets on it anyways, I'm not really concerned. I think that's all I have today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and press that pretty subscribe button right now. And thank you very much to everyone who already has. I look forward to seeing you again soon.